Hello, everyone. Uh, Good evening. Thank you for joining our session for today. This is Omar Al Mutairi, OWASP Kuwait Chapter leader, and our guest for tonight is Mr. Suzay to talk about GRC. Mr. Suzay, the mic is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Faisal. Let me just turn on my video. Hello, everyone. Good evening from whatever region that you are. Um, I welcome you all for this an insightful discussion on GRC. And I hope you're all excited. And I was just thinking, right, what should be the apt name that I should be giving to this presentation. We have been hearing this fancy word, GRC, everywhere, right? And that is where I got kind of a clue that, I should keep the topic as a get started with GRC. All right, let me just share my screen. All right. So get started with GRC. About me, just a quick introduction. Myself, Soosairaj Chellaiya, that's my dad's name, by the way. And I started my career in 2009. Over the years, I've been into multiple roles, starting from IT audit, risk management, information security, cloud security, and network security. I've been always, an urge to learn as since we are in this information or cybersecurity domain. It is always, very important to stay abreast with the latest industry trends, right? As you can see, that's my commitment to my professional education, where I have done a multiple certification over the years, and I would, and also I wanted to meaningfully contribute to the broader cybersecurity community. And that is how this idea has come up, that I have to give something to the cybersecurity community. And that's why I've taken a kind of a favorite topic called GRC, which you've been lately hearing in all the your discussions and stuff like that. Let me see if I can mute this thumbnail. Okay. All right, let me push this down. Okay, all right. Okay. So what do you expect in this particular domain, right? GRC. As you all know that GRC stands for governance, risk, and compliance, right? Before I take you on the further slides, I just wanted to tell you in a layman language about what GRC is exactly doing in an organization, right? Imagine that let's say that you wanted to uh, build a multi-story house, right? And if you want to build a multi-story house, first you need a piece of land, right? And you will go to a lawyer. You go to the lawyer and you say, you know what, I want to buy this piece of land. Can you check whether this land is free from all legal litigations? Okay, the lawyer checks it. Oh, okay, this is fine. You can go ahead and construct it. And then you go to an architect where you will be explaining about your dream house, and the architect will understand your requirements, and he will give you a design. Okay, this is how your house looks like. This is your front elevation. And then, okay, you satisfy it. Okay, this design looks great. And then you go to a civil engineer. So who basically they provide you a suggestion about what materials that we need to use, how many beams that we need to put, what is the foundation level, because the whole multi-story house should have a strong foundation, right? And after that, once your construction starts and then the construction gets over, then you will pull in your interior designer who will basically design your interiors based on your requirement, right? And then electrician, plumbing, so on. Okay. You might be wondering why I have been giving this as an example, right? Uh, there is someone where is taking care of meeting with different specialists and getting their inputs to ensure your dream house is built without any issues, right? There are legal specialists involved, there is an architecture involved, there is a civil engineer involved, right? That will ensure that your dream house is built in a proper manner so you are happy, right? That is exactly what is GRC for an organization, right? Without a GRC in an organization, your business objective cannot be met. You need someone, you need some team, a group of people who ensures that everything is in order to ensure your business operations are carried out in the proper manner, right? And your business is successful, right? That is where GRC comes into the picture, right? Because if, let's say, in this example which I give, if any one of the specialists is not involved during this construction of the house, what will happen? Either you end up building a house in a land where it is not built as per the government regulations, or there were not proper quality of material that is being used to construct the house, or the design did not come properly, right? At end of the day, your objective is not met, right? This is how the GRC works in an organization. Let me, I hope this gives you a, this sets a tone about why GRC is important for an organization. Having understood the definition, right? Having understood why GRC is important in an organization. Okay, I'm going to give you a fundamental understanding of what this GRC is all about. The G that stands for governance, right? Governance is a set of policies or set of rules and procedures established by an organization, by a senior management, to ensure that your business objectives are met, and also you're meeting at the same time you're meeting your legal and regulation obligations, right? Without the rules, without the policies, you would not be able to achieve business objectives in a legal manner. You will not be able to conduct your business operations in a legitimate way. You need to have policies and procedures in place where your employees will know, okay, these are the expectations that are set by the management. These are the things I have to do. These are the things I shouldn't be doing in an organization, right? That is all about governance. And there comes a risk management, right? You just take any business, right? Without the risk, you cannot conduct a business, right? There is always a risk when you when you do a business, right? But how far the risk that you're ready to accept, right? That's where the old risk management is coming into the play, right? The organization should have implemented a robust risk management process to ensure that you identify and you assess the risk and you mitigate the risk, right? There is one key word here, that if you want to conduct a business, you need to ensure that you conduct a business in an acceptable level of risk, right? If an organization is able to conduct the business, you need to ensure that your risk threshold or your risk appetite is defined. Okay, if this threshold defines, I might not be able to survive on this particular business, right? That's why the robust risk management process is very important in an organization. And finally, the third thing, which is compliance, right? Depends on your organization, what business that you are in, which country your business are operating, you and what are the type of businesses that you're conducting. It is always there are some form of legal or regulation requirements that an organization should adhere to, right? For example, that we are in Kuwait, right? We have to abide by a lot of regulations. For example, if you work in a bank, then you need to satisfy the central bank of Kuwait requirements. Let's say you are in India, then the bank should be abide by Reserve Bank of India. That is one of the requirement, right? And if your business is, let's say that you're having a card payment, your customer, you're issuing card and you're storing card information, then you have to abide by PCI DSS, right? And these are all the compliance requirement that an organization should ensure that they are comply with, right? And how do we manage all these? Through GRC. That is why the GRC is very important for an organization to achieve its business objectives, right? And also ensure that we are meeting the compliance and regulations requirement. All right. So I will be keep moving on each slide. If there are any questions that you have on the specific slide, feel free to put it in the chat. I can answer it for you, or I can just keep it for the end of the session so that I can answer it as well, right? Moving on to the next slide. Okay, now that you know, okay, what is GRC and why GRC is very important for an organization, I would like to highlight what are all certain activities that will be carried out in G, R, and C, right? As you know, G stands for governance, right? Governance activities in an organization, right? Uh, where let's say that in the governance, the senior management is responsible, the board of directors is responsible to ensure that their organization is successful. They are responsible to develop a long-term strategy, right? That there should be a different skill set, qualified board members should be there because they would be the one who is driving an organization towards success by establishing ambitious goals, right? And and also there is a risk management that's covered under the governance activity. The senior management ensures there is a risk management framework that will be established to conduct business in an acceptable level of risk, which I think I have told you this before. And then the senior management is responsible for ensuring that policies and procedures are in place where all employees need to be carry out their business operations in line with their policies and procedures. And then your corporate culture and ethics, right? The organization vision, mission, and the core values. These are all, you know, typical uh, type of activities that is kind of included in the governance phase of an organization, right? And okay, what are all the type of governances that are there, right? You have an enterprise governance. The enterprise governance is a overall governance of an organization. We can even call it as corporate governance, who ensures that the strategic goals are defined, the objectives are set, the leaders' roles and responsibilities are defined, the risk management framework is defined. These are the enterprise governance related activities, right? Let me give you an example, right? Uh, Sorry, I just have to make it a little more in detail because there are variety of audiences with different professional background. Some of them might be very new to GRC, and some of them may be an expert in GRC. Please bear with me. This might sounds like a refresher for you. I just have to be go a little bit in detail so that you understand. Get started with GRC, right? Which means I want you to help you to get started with GRC. All right. Okay. When it comes to governance, right? Let's say that you wanted to in an organization you wanted to you have a 5-year goal of onboarding all your applications into cloud, right? You have a 5 years goal, and you have a strategic plan, you have a tactical plan, and you have an operations plan. Okay, the senior management vision is by end of the 5th year, you want all your applications to be onboarded to cloud, and so that the customer will have a ease of access to access the application, etc. Right? Okay, that is the ambitious goal of a senior management, right? That forms under the enterprise governance. Now, what happens is, okay, then the task goes to IT governance. Okay, these are the applications that will be going to the cloud. Okay, let me need to understand, okay, what are the things that needs to be taken care of from the IT perspective? Do we need to write a new cloud security policies? Are we going to move all the applications in the cloud, or is it only non-critical applications? Okay, how the connectivity is going to be established? How the all these things will be comes falling under the responsibility of IT governance. All right. Okay. Then IT governance helps you to onboard the application, take care of all the technical implementation, and then here comes the information security governance. Then information security governance team ensures that you have required policies and procedures for cloud security, how users will authenticate, what will be the password settings, whether the data is in transit or data stored in the cloud, whether it will be encrypted. So this falls under information security governance. So do you see that how the list of tasks or activities that is being carried out from enterprise governance, IT governance, and then information security governance? See, there are other governance type also. For example, legal governance, right? So these are all pretty much governance activities that will be happening in an organization, right? When you want to run a country, you need a government, you need a ministers. They will be running the country. They will be implementing the laws. They will be implementing the rules. They need to protect the interests of the society. They wanted to ensure the safety of the country, right? The same way, the governance of the organization ensures that organization policies, procedures are established. They have established a risk management framework. They have an ambitious goal, strategic goals, and employees are aware of their do's and don'ts, and etc. So these are all on a high level list of activities that will be included in the governance phase. Moving on to the risk management phase, right? So in the risk management phase, right? So what is risk management, right? I do not want to go into that detail of definition of risk, as I assume that you guys at least know about what is the definition of risk. Let me uh, take you to the uh, let me take you to the process of an high level of what exactly this list of activities that happens in the risk management, right? The first, the first step in risk management is identifying the risk. Okay. Okay, you say that you're identifying the risk on what basis? Your risk identification can be based on the assets, because not all the assets to the organizations are very critical. Maybe some of them are critical assets, some of them just exist there for marketing, or some of them having non-sensitive information. So asset-based risk assessment or critical business processes, that's how you would do in a business impact analysis, if you know in BCP, where what are all the list of processes that needs to be run even after a disaster. Those are critical processes which is going to bring revenue for the organization, right? Bus Business processes based risk identification, the data exposure. All right, okay. Since let's say that you're having a online e-commerce businesses, then your website is published to the outside world. Okay, what level of data that is being established outside? Based on that, you can identify the risk. And the last but not least, your legal and regulations requirement, right? So these are gives you the starting point in risk identification. Okay, once you identify the risk, then you assess the risk, right? When you say you assess the risk, there are two types on an one is qualitative risk analysis and another one is quantitative risk analysis. Qualitative risk analysis is subjective. It depends on the experience of the professional who is handling the risk management task, right? You assess the risk based on the probability of or likelihood and the impact, right? And then you rate the risk like high, medium, and low. That comes under qualitative risk analysis. When it comes to quantitative risk analysis, that is where you put a dollar value to it. That is where there is a money involved. There is a mathematical calculation. Okay, this is my asset value. And if my asset is compromised, okay, I am going to lose this much of dollar, right? That comes under quantitative risk analysis. Okay, you identify the risk and you assess the risk. What's is next? Your risk treatment, right? Uh, okay, I was telling in my previous presentation that organization's responsibility is to conduct a business in an acceptable level of risk, right? Okay, that's why I said you need to establish your risk tolerance, right? When it comes to risk treatment, right? Okay, you see that there is a risk, and either you mitigate it. When you say mitigate, you implement a control, right? That is risk mitigation. Your risk acceptance is all right, no problem. I know this risk exists, but I do not want to take any action because the cost of implementing a control is going to be more than the risk exposure itself. So I'm going to accept the risk, or you will choose risk avoidance. Okay, uh, I know there is a risk in executing this business processes or on this asset. Okay, uh, I'm not going to uh, do this specific processes. That comes under risk avoidance. Risk avoidance is not conducting the particular processes or particular businesses because you know that when this will have an impact, okay, you stop doing that activity itself. That comes under the risk avoidance. And finally, you have a risk transfer, right? So basically, you transfer the risk through a third party by, you know, uh, buying a cyber insurance and stuff like that. That comes under risk transfer. Right. Guys, the risk management activity itself is like it's a very huge topic. I can talk for a whole day, but I'm just giving you on a high level about what are all the activities that will form in the risk management. Okay, you identify the risk, you assess the risk, and you treat the risk, and then you monitor it, right? You monitor. That is, you register your risk in the risk registers, and then you monitor it. You ensure that risk has been always been effective because, right? See, due to the changing nature in the attack surface of an organization, right? Does the risk remain same for a whole year or for the subsequent years? No. Maybe the risk portion might change in over the period of time. That is why the risk monitoring comes into the play to ensure that the risk have been continuously evaluated to ensure it is relevant and appropriate controls are in place. So you have a risk register and you regularly report to the management. That is the high level steps of the risk management. And I have also given you an example of uh, what are the type of risk that we have. You say you have an enterprise risk, you have a credit risk, information security, market risk, and so on, right? Depends on the organization business context. There might be various types of risk that an organization needs to be addressed. So this is about risk management, and I will move on to the next one, which is, can anyone tell me what is the next? This is compliance, right? Okay. In governance, you set the rules. In compliance, you evaluate that rules has been followed or not. It's simple as it. The rules have been set. Am I following the rules or not? How am I going to evaluate it? Based on regular audits, your reviews, and evaluating the security posture of the organization, right? Like I told you in the previous slides, right? When you define a policy, right, you need to ensure that your business requirements have been included, your legal or regulatory requirements have been included, your stakeholders' expectations have been included, so that you may not miss out any of the activities in the policies, right? So when it comes to compliance, like I said, the regular assessment, there are various type of compliance that we are talking about. One is regulatory compliance. Adherence to local international laws, regulations applies to an organization. I've given some example, which is CMA, Capital Market Authority, or Central Bank of Kuwait, since we have been based out of Kuwait. These are some of the regulations that applies to the bank or listed companies in Kuwait. And then let's say that PCI DSS, if your company is storing or processing card information, then you might fall under the PCI DSS category. All right. And internal policy compliance, yes, you need to satisfy regulatory requirements, and you need to satisfy the internal policy, starting from hiring an employee. What are the do's and don'ts? Acceptable usage policies, right? All these are all your internal policy compliance, that falls under how a user is created, how the user is terminated, what is your password policies, right? So all these comes under the internal policies as well, and it comes under information security as well. Then your data protection and privacy compliance. Let's say that your business is in in European Union region, or you are serving customers from European Union, then you need to abide by the applicable data protection laws such as GDPR. Or if it is an American law, for example, let's say that you're from California, then you have to, your business is based on California, then you need to abide by California Consumer Protection Act or HIPAA, right? So these are all will be factored in your during your policy development, right? Because remember I said you have to ensure your regulatory inputs have been given in the policy, internal policy requirement, your information security policy requirement, financial compliance, or even your legal compliance. All this will be forms under your policy requirement. In the compliance related, you need to ensure, okay, I have defined the rules. Okay, am I following the rules? Am I complying with all this regulation? That is where pretty much the list of activities that will be carried out in the compliance related. Okay, then you have an information security compliance, right? You will be establishing information security standards or framework based on industry standard frameworks such as NIST, ISO 27001, etc. And you have financial compliance, right? That you need to comply with your financial reporting standard, which is IFRS or SOX if it is in US-based companies, and different types of compliance. You have information security compliance, you have IT compliance, like I have explained, different type of governance, and you also have a different type of compliance that an organization should abide by, right? Okay. I have done a lot of talking. Maybe it's just a quiz time. Uh, I just wanted to throw a question to see that if I get a good answer for it, right? Do governance, risk, and compliance work in silos, or does it work together in an organization? Please feel free to answer. Anyone? Let me see if something in the chat. That's correct. I have some few chats where I'm getting a response as it's never in silos. That is true. Governance, compliance, and the risk management works together to achieve your business objectives. It never works in silos. Remember what I said. You are establishing the policies, which comes under the governance activity. And in your compliance, you're ensuring that are we following the policies or not. And when you do an assessment and when you see that okay we are not complying with the policy, then you're doing a risk assessment. You're trying to find out why this particular control lapses was happened. Then you will go ahead with the risk management processes, right? So governance, risk, and compliance does not work in silos. It works together, right? That's the uh, you know uh, that's the slide that I'm presenting to you. GRC work together to achieve business objective, right? It never work in silos, right? Governance. I'm just giving you a basic example or a layman example. Think of it like a rules of the road for a company. That is governance. It ensures everyone knows the direction and the rules to follow, right? The rules are set, the policy in place, the procedures are in place. Now it's up to employee to follow these rules, and there is will be always a oversight mechanism by the senior management. Then risk management, ensuring like having an insurance policy or safety measures in place, such as wearing a seatbelt, right? That is your risk management because you are saying, okay, you are driving a car in the road. Okay, then what are the things that you need to take care of to ensure that you are not meeting with an accident? Okay, wearing a seatbelt, checking your car regularly, checking your tire pressure, all right? All these part of your risk management process. And compliance is what? Am I complying to the traffic rules, right? Am I complying to meeting licensing requirements? Am I compliant in maintaining the vehicle conditions, etc., right? That's the thing. So GRC work together to achieve business objective, and it never works in the silos. All right. Okay. So far we have explained what is GRC, a definition, and what are all the list of activities that will take place in the GRC, right? And again, I want to have a quiz time right now. Okay, let me see the chat. All right. There was some chat. I'm sure that I will answer all your questions together at by end of this chat. And by the way, Imran, in your chat, your question will be answered shortly in this slides. This will be coming here shortly. All right. Okay. Again, a quiz time. Right. I just want this to be interactive. Instead of chat, can someone unmute and then you can answer it, right? Now, there has been a myth, right, across in people understanding that GRC is only for information or cybersecurity. Is it true or false? Can anyone answer? That is correct, right? In GRC is not only for information security. It is for a specific department in an organization. It is for the entire organization as well. There is a, all right. Abdul, go ahead. Abdul, do you want to share something? All right. Uh, that's right. What I was saying is GRC is not only for information security. GRC can be for a specific department, or GRC can be for the whole organization. So just take this from your mind that GRC is only applicable for information security. All right. Okay. Moving on to the next slide. Okay. Now that we know, all right, with some examples, we understood, okay, how GRC work together in an organization. What is the important of GRC? Uh, Now that we are part of an information security professional and some of them from IT, I would want to help you how GRC integrates with information security. So the upcoming slides will talk about GRC in information security, how it is going to be integrated. Before going to that slide, right? That this is the benefits of GRC, right? First, it helps you making decision making, right? Because it provides you structured approach for organization to the risk and compliance management, operational efficiency. There are people who doesn't work in silos. They work together to achieve its business objective. And GRC also helps you in meeting a regulatory compliance, right? Guys, uh, if you're not meeting the regulatory requirements or law or regulatory requirements, then you will end up paying legal penalties, right? So I just want to take few minutes to explain about uh, the legal versus regulatory, right? Uh, because we say, okay, legal or regulatory requirement. Legal requirement is the law. It's a law of the land that which everyone needs to follow. It always the law will be established to protect the interests of the community or the society. The but for example, SOX in US, Sarbanes-Oxley Act, it's a law. HIPAA for health insurance, right? It's a law. But GDPR in the European Union region, it is a regulation. PCI DSS, payment card industry, that is a regulation. What is the difference? If you doesn't comply with the regulations, then you will end up paying the fine. However, if you doesn't comply with the law, there might be chances where you will go to imprisonment, right? There are chances where you will go to jail also. That is the difference between legal and versus regulatory requirement, right? So depends on what country that you're setting up your business, and depends on what type of business that you're doing. A specific law and regulatory requirements might apply, and you need to ensure that these requirements are being taken care of in your governance activities itself. You have to ensure these requirements are being fed into your policy so that you will comply it during the compliance assessments as well. Okay, then risk mitigation. Now that this is one of the key benefits of GRC. Why? Because you're proactively doing a risk management process, right? You're identifying the risk, and you're providing you're taking a necessary action to mitigate, transfer, or avoid the risk, or accepting the risk, right? These are the benefits of GRC. Remember my example, which I've told you during the start of the session, right? If you want to construct a house, you need to ensure all the specialist opinion is being taken care of to ensure your dream house has been built properly. If any of the opinions are being lacked, or any of the opinions has been not taken, and there are no people who are monitoring these activities, then you are not going to meet the expected outcome. Similarly, GRC for an organization is must. It is very much important, and this will help you in lot many ways, especially in meeting the regulatory compliances, ensuring that your risks are mitigated and you are conducting a risk in an acceptable manner. And it helps for the senior management to define a strategic goals and helps in decision making as well. All right. These are the benefits of GRC. Now let's get started on how GRC will be integrated with information security or cyber security. Right. Okay, this is my favorite topic, right? Because I being an information or cybersecurity professional for almost 15 years now, right? When it comes, what is the governance related to information cybersecurity? You establish policies and procedures for information or cybersecurity. That forms your governance. You establish your information security strategy for 3 to 5 years. That forms under your governance processes. There might be a excuse me. There might be a question, right? What is the difference between the policies and procedures, right? Uh, Let me give an example, right? Your policy says that all your systems in an organization should be password protected, right? The policy is a high level statement. Procedure. And then there is one more word which I think is not included, standards. Your standard says, okay, I know as per the policy, your system needs to be password protected. User need to authenticate with password. Your standard says, okay, my password should be 12 to 14 characters. You should have a special characters, capital letters, small letter, and so on, right? Your policy is your high level statement. Your standard gives you the specification about your this particular statement. Let's say example. Let's say one more example. Your policy says that your sensitive data in an organization should be encrypted. That is your policy statement. Your standard will say, right, okay, use AES 256 algorithm encryption standard, right? That's your standard talks about specifics. And what is a procedure? Procedure will help you a step-by-step process which tell you how you are going to implement that specific encryption, how you're going to implement the specific password policy. So these are the example, these are the high-level definition of what is policy, what is procedure, what is standard, and there is something called baseline, which is like a minimum security baseline, minimum security controls that should be applied, right? That is okay. That is governance activity. What is risk management? Like I said, you're going to identify and mitigate all information and cybersecurity related risk. That is forms under risk management. There will be a regular risk assessment which needs to be performed either for all your critical applications or if you are using cloud or based on your asset, based on your processes, right? You carry out the risk management. And compliance, yes, being an information security professional, you have to be compliant with various regulations and such as NIST, your PCI DSS, your ISO 27001, GDPR, etc. Okay, this is how the GRC for information or cybersecurity. All right, move on to the next one. All right. Okay, you said, Susai, okay, you told me what is GRC. You gave a fundamental understanding about GRC and you gave a good example about GRC. And you have also said what are the benefits of GRC. How do I get started? Where do I start it? If I need to build a GRC program in an organization, what are the list of steps that I need to follow so that I can build a good GRC program in an organization. All right. So this particular slide will talk about it. This particular slide will give you an understanding of practical approach of implementing or building a information or cybersecurity GRC program in an organization. Right. First, before you build a GRC program, right? Okay, what is the organizational objective? What are the business? What are the type of businesses that we are in? Okay, what is the organizational context? What is the regulatory requirement that I need to meet? What is the stakeholder interest? All these needs to be understood in the first place, right? That's why you see in the slide, which talks about understanding organizational context and business objective, right? Because without this fundamental understanding, then your goal of implementing a GRC program uh, will not meet its objective, you know. So first assessing the business goals and objective. Okay. The second thing, identify the critical assets and processes, right? Right. For any businesses, right? There are critical assets and there are processes. Okay. You identify that. And that would forms the scope of your GRC program for an organization. Then align with your GRC framework. There are a lot of GRC framework for information security out there. You have NIST cybersecurity framework. You have a ISO framework. You have COBIT, which is IT enterprise governance and management, and you also have COSO, which is one of the famous framework related to enterprise risk management and internal controls, which takes care of your SOX requirement basically, right? Understanding your business objective is the first step. Second, you need not reinvent the wheel, right? You don't want to start from scratch. There were ready-made information security frameworks out there, right? But is it going to apply? Is all the controls in this framework is going to apply to an organization? No. The answer is no, right? That is why you see there are a couple of words that I have mentioned, which is scoping and tailoring your GRC program, right? Some controls might apply, some of the controls might not apply. For example, you're one of the you wanted to start a business in, let's say, in European Union region, right? And what happens is then your data privacy controls will be very important. You need to ensure that GDPR requirements have been taken care of, right? But if you doesn't, if you're, let's say that if you're having a company where uh, you use card, right? You store or process card information, then PCI DSS requirements will be there, right? So every company is unique, every organization is unique based on your requirement on your previous step, where you understood your business goals and objectives, your critical assets. Now you will be able to pick and choose on the applicable controls from NIST or ISO 27001, COBIT or COSA, etc. These are the ready-made framework that is available. You just have to review it and see what are all the controls that are applicable, combining your organization needs and also your regulatory requirements. Okay, once these two steps have been established, then you need to build the GRC, right? So there should be a GRC committee, right? There should be a governance structure. Remember, I told you there should be a governance. There should be a people who will have a oversight of all activities within an organization. They will be ensuring that people are following the policies and procedures. People are adhering to legal or regulatory requirements, right? You will form a GRC committee. Okay, who's going to be in a GRC committee? Maybe the various stakeholders, someone from IT, someone from legal, someone from your risk management team, or someone from your business department, head of the department, or someone from information security, right? All the key stakeholders who have an active stake in the business context will form a GRC committee, right? This committee, and you assign the roles and responsibilities for this committee. The, they will be accountable to carry out certain activities related to the GRC. Oversight, they establish oversight mechanism in terms of how the framework has been established and whether all the required controls have been in place. Then are we meeting legal or regulatory requirements? These will be, and there will be regular meetings that will be conducted, and GRC people will be the accountable guys in that in this process, right? That's what GRC committee's responsibility. And you can also have a GS policy framework, which is pretty much what I've explained, right? The explaining the roles and responsibility of GRC committee, and how do they ensure that information security GRC program is being carried out in an effective manner, right? Okay, this is the 3 steps how to build an information and cybersecurity GRC program in an organization. You understood the organization business objectives. Then you align with your GRC, one of the GRC framework for information and cybersecurity. Then you form the governance structure to establish an oversight mechanism. Then what is next? You conduct the risk assessment, right? Where do you start? I In my previous slides, I have explained you can start your risk management based on the critical assets of an organization, identify the threat and vulnerabilities, and based on that, what do? You assess the risk, and then you implement controls, right? Proper risk treatment strategy, your risk mitigation, transfer, avoidance, and acceptance, right? So that would be one of the step in your GRC program. And based on that, you create your policies, procedures, standards, and then you ensure that, okay, there are times where the policy has been created and it's not been communicated to all the employees of an organization, right? So you ensure the policies have been created and it's been communicated, and then you implemented the controls. And there are good controls framework in ISO, NIST, and other industry standard framework where you implement the controls. So these and then you understood the organizational context, you align the GRC framework, you formed a committee, risk assessment has been carried out. Based on that, you have created a security policies, you implement controls. What is next? You conduct compliance assessment. You need to see that if there is any gaps in the security controls effectiveness, and if there and are we whether the implemented controls is sufficient to meet the legal or regulatory requirements. That will be under in compliance management. Your regular audits, the audits will be taken care, will be done. Compliance assessment will be done to ensure that we have a robust GRC program. We have to ensure that we have a robust security controls are in place, right? And when you have a findings, right, uh, when you do a compliance assessment or when you do an audit, then there is a finding. You see there is a gap, and then those those issues or findings need to be remediated, and that is where there are the GRC. There are a lot of GRC tools available in the market, which specifically uh, ensures all your findings are being tracked, and then ensure that these findings and that these issues have been resolved in an appropriate way, and it gives a good tracking mechanism. There are a lot of GRC tools available in the market. It's not only for information security or cybersecurity. The GRC tool can be, remember what I said, GRC is not only for information and cybersecurity, it applies for every department and organization, or even for the whole organization. That it has a policy management, it has an incident management, it has an operational risk management, and so on, right? And then you monitor and reporting, which is very important. You have implemented an information security GRC program, and you have implemented the controls, and you assess it. What's next? You have to regularly report the status of it, right? That is where your performance will be measured in terms of the metrics, right? Your GRC committee will be continuously evaluating the KPIs and KRIs. So basically, which talks about how well the information security goals have been performed against the I mean, this KPI is a measure basically which assess against performance against your information security goals, right? And okay, let me take a pause here to see uh, if there are if someone who can answer me what is the difference between the KPIs and the KRIs. because I want to take this opportunity to explain this definition. So it will be really helpful for you guys. Anyone, the difference between the KPI and KRI. Let me see the chat. KPI is an effective and efficient of controls and processes. All right. Let me just give you a, oh, all right, 1 minute. I just answer this right. Care is used as early signs of risk. Absolutely, Faisal. You were right on the target. Yes, right. Let me just give you an example where you will understand key differences between KPI and KRA. As you know, the KPI stands for Key Performance Indicator, and KRI stands for Key Risk Indicator. Right. Let me take with an example. Now that we are talking in the context of building an information or cybersecurity GRC program, let's say I have a KPI which says that all critical vulnerabilities should be patched within 30 days. That is my KPI. That is one of my KPI in an information security program, right? That is an example of KPI. You define a goal and you measure it. It should be measurable, right? Okay. Did was there all vulnerabilities have been addressed or patched within 30 days? That will be my KPI. And what would be my KRA? Number of systems that are not patched. That is my KRA. So always KPI and KRA as a integration, right? Here I'm saying, like what Faisal said, KRA is a give you a potential yearly warning. That is your KRA. Okay. Number of systems with vulnerabilities that have been patched over the years. That would be your KRA. Your KPI is, okay, I know that there is a vulnerabilities. I'm going to fix it by establishing a KPI. What is my KPI? I'm going to ensure all my critical vulnerabilities have been fixed within 30 days. That will be KPI. You see how KPI and KRI is kind of integrated. That's just one example. There are many examples like this. For example, uh, number of uh, number of users uh, who have clicked on a phishing email, right? I'm telling you that okay, we need to ensure 90%, 95% of the employees needs to be completed information security awareness program in an organization. That will be my KPI, right? And what would be the KRA, corresponding KRA? The KRA is number of users, number of employees in an organization who clicked on the phishing link, right? You see how KPI and KRA is linked, right? KRA provide provides you a potential warning of a risk that exists in the system, right? Or exists in the processes. So that is KRA. And what is KPI? Okay, just because there is a risk, I am going to I am going to remediate it by establishing a KPI, and I'm going to measure it. Once I'm measuring it, I'm going to regularly reporting to my organization senior management. In this case, you will be regularly doing a reporting on your metrics, KPI, KRI to your GRC committee, who will be responsible for oversighting and ensuring that an effective information or cybersecurity GRC program have been followed in an organization. All right. Now, what is next? That's continuous improvement, right? You might implement certain controls today. Tomorrow, due to change in the nature of new technologies and new threats, maybe you need to modify the controls that you have implemented today. Those are all the activities that comes under your continuous improvement. based periodically performing audits and assessments, right? Based reviewing and updating the policies based on the gaps identified, so that it ensures your document is your policies and controls are up to date, right? So that is continuous improvement. These are the 9 steps, all right, which will help you to implement or build a information or cybersecurity GRC program in an organization. All right. Uh, okay. Now that you have got an understanding of what is GRC, how GRC is integrated with information security, how you can implement a GRC program in an organization. I've just given you a few examples of the risk and controls for specific information or cybersecurity areas, right? For example, if you take a web application security, there is something called OWASP Top 10, which actually gives you a top 10 web application security risk. And there are risk and controls framework for cloud security. And there are risk and controls for API security, card security, incident response, identity and access management. These are all the few examples on risk and controls. Once you identify the risk, your next step will be the risk treatment. I said either you mitigate it, or you accept it, or you avoid the risk, or you transfer the risk, right? So these are the examples of risk and controls which comes under the risk mitigation processes. Okay, that's it for pretty much about GRC. I'm sure that you know if you are a beginner or novice to GRC, you might have a good and you would have got a good understanding of what GRC program is all about. And if you are an experienced professional, this would have been a good refresher training, right? I see in chat some of the chat where how do I start for GRC? Where do I start? What is there a specific courses or something which I need to study? Yes, right. This is career path to GRC. I just put it where uh, you can explore your GRC opportunities, right? Usually there are some specialized courses in GRC programs, or if you have a degree in IT or finance or law, it is not, remember I said GRC is not only for information security, it is for the respective department, it is for the whole organization, right? You can have your education background, and there were various certifications, right? You have a series which talks about risk management, you have CISA, CIA, which talks about uh, like information system audit. You have CISM, which talks about information security manager, CISSP, and CGIT, which is enterprise governance for IT. Then you have CRCMP, which is risk and compliance management. And then you also have a certification, regulation compliance, ISO IEC 27001, and so on. If you're already in GRC program, GRC professional, or you wanted to step into GRC, right? I would advise that you gain necessary, you work on taking a necessary certification courses. That will be really helpful. And also there are a lot of skills is required as well, right? This is not only for GRC, for any job for that matter. Analytical thinking, writing, reading, attention to detail, which is very important, communication skills, and understanding of regulatory requirements. That is very important. What I said depends on the nature of businesses that you are in, depends on the country that you operate. There might be a lot of legal or regulatory requirements that you might need to follow. So let's say that you're going for an interview for a GRC or GRC specialist or for information security. It's better that you study about, okay, what is the organization is doing, what type of business they are, where the headquarters are located, then what are the legal or regulatory requirements they need to be follow. This actually helps you to crack the interview. So this will really help you in terms of if you're thinking of shifting your career path to GRC. And there are various job roles, like I said, that is GRC analyst, governance specialist, risk management, compliance officer, internal auditor, security analyst, information security manager, CISO, your data privacy officer, etc. There are various roles, right? This is a wide market. Job opportunities are available in the market, right? I would say that ensure that you get necessary skills, you take up the relevant certification, you attend courses like this, build yourself, build your solid fundamentals or understanding of GRC, and then give it a shot. This is my final slide. GRC is essential for organization success, ensuring effective governance, risk management, and compliance, right? Encourage further learning and exploring GRC as your career path. All right, I did a lot of talking, and then now it's time to address whatever questions that you have. It's yours. It's your time now.
Thank you, Mr. Suzy. If anyone have a question, please raise it on chat or on Q&A.
Meanwhile, I'm just taking this time to just go through the messages. What is GRC policy in the last slide? Right. Slide. Just come to this question. Understanding the business objective, critical assets identification and mapping. GRC will be covering department of an organization. Yes, I think I have answered this. GRC is not specifically for information security. It will be for the entire department. All business can use GRC scheme. Okay. All right. As a network engineer, how to move GRC without an experience in Kuwait, right? Uh, this is what I think I've explained this in the slide, right? Uh, if you're interested in GRC, right, be it in information security, you have to ensure that uh, you develop the necessary skills. Let me move on to the slide. Take up the certifications, the relevant certifications, and then attend a lot of trainings, try to do a lot of learnings in GRC, and then give it a shot. You will and try to do a lot of homework before you go for an interview, right? Because understanding of the regulatory environment, that was a very important skill in GRC. That because those are the requirements that we need to comply with in an organization. Study about the company, ask what are the requirements that they need to be meeting in terms of legal and regulatory requirements. Develop all the skills is required, and then if I'm sure these certifications would really help you to get it started. That's how this comes to our topic. Get started with GRC. I'm sure this session was really useful to you. And there is one question which is not I want to address as well. Do you have any material starting GRC with the SOC background? Yeah, please. You can connect with me in LinkedIn offline. I will help you with some of the materials that you can get started with. Okay, and okay, this is one of the question like where the question is about. Let me go back to the slide. Uh, this was talking about develop a GRC policy framework. I think someone had this specific question. Developing a GRC policy framework is basically establishing the activities that is going to be carried out in a document, right? Who will be the list of members in the GRC committee? What are the defense roles and responsibilities? How they are going to effectively monitor the GRC program? How effectively there will be meetings that will be conducted, and that so on. That's a GRC policy framework that we are talking about here. Yes, Sabina. You can someone unmute Sabina? No. Faisal, can you unmute Sabina? I think she raised her hand and she has some questions.
Hello, good
Yes,
evening.
I can hear you now. Good
Yes,
evening,
this
Sabina.
yeah, good evening. This GRC policy framework is specific to that organization.
Like I said, if your goal is building a GRC program for an organization, that will be on an organization level. If your goal is to create a GRC program, let's say for information or cybersecurity, then it can be specific to this department.
Okay, suppose we are implementing some data classification policy or something. So after knowing the organization context and business objectives and aligning that with a particular framework, we will be making one GRC policy framework for that organization, the scope or department under the scope. Okay. In that case, this GRC policy framework is a document, correct?
Okay. I think if I understood the correct question rightly, see, there are two documents that we are talking about. One is about how well the GRC committee is performing. That would be a separate document which establishes the roles and responsibility of a GRC committee. The other one which you're talking about, an information security policy, which talks about your question, which is data classification. All right. Depends on your organization context. If you're dealing with sensitive information, then you will be establishing a data classification policy, right? Like public, private, confidential, or sensitive. Accordingly, you will be establishing what are the type of controls that need to be implemented. That will form under your standards document. Is that answers your question, Sabina?
Yeah. So
So
there
you're
are.
so when you I'm sorry. So when you build your GRC program, right? There is one. Let me share that slide with you.
Mm,
You see that create security policies, right? Develop and
yes.
implement policies and procedures. That's where you will be creating a data classification policy. Depends on
Mhm.
organization context. Let's say that you have some customer information, right? That customer information is stored, right? Then you will have a policy in place. Okay, that okay depends on the organization context. You classify the data in like what are the classification, and accordingly you will ensure what are the security controls that you need to implement. That you will utilize those control framework and you will document that in your standard document. I said, okay, customer information is stored in the database. Okay, let it get encrypted and it will be encrypted using AES 256 standard. I'm just giving
Mhm.
an example, right?
Mhm.
This comes the establishing your information security policy. All right.
Yes. Yeah. Mhm.
The previous slide is basically developing a GRC policy framework is for the GRC committee itself, establishing the roles and responsibilities, what are the activities that they are going to be carried out. All
Okay.
right.
Mhm.
I hope I was able to answer your question.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I get you. Thank you.
All
Thank you.
right. Okay. Okay. I can Abdul Rahman, I can share my LinkedIn profile with you. No problem. That's it from my side. If there are no questions, over to you,
Thank you
Faisal.
very much. Thank you everyone for joining our session. Don't forget to follow us on our social media channel, WhatsApp, Twitter, and LinkedIn. See you inshallah on the next event for OWASP Kuwait chapter.
Thank you, everyone. And also thank you for you, Susie.
Thank you, Faisal. Thank you for this opportunity. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. Goodbye.